Hello, mic test. Uh, Thank you guys, and good morning, everyone. So today my talk is about automating QA through visual regression testing. So um, Andrew already introduced me, but I'll do some quick introduction. So I'm a WordPress solutions architect at Pantheon, and I'm a community contributor from the Philippines. And fun fact about me, like Andrew said, I proudly named my 3 daughters from operating system. That's Unix, Rose Linux, and Kali. And ironically, the name of my wife is Mac, so they all jive together. Um, so discussion points that we'll be doing today is automation intro, and what is visual regression, and backstop JS basics, and what are the limitations and WordPress related VRT services out there, and we'll do a recap. And if you have some questions, you could ask me later on. So to start, I guess we all in our career became this cowboy coder. We started without version control, I guess. We do SFTP, and we don't really do Q&A. We are YOLO coders. We do directly to the live site. So once in our career, we did that, I guess. So, but now we are coming into this era, like what we call like web ops or DevOps era, where teams evolve into bigger teams, and new requirements or processes arises during that. And as much as possible, we want to avoid downtime on our live site every time that we do deploy. So, and we also want to automate those repetitive tasks. And as you have not heard yet, what the hell is web ops culture? We already have like DevOps. What's web ops? What we want to share is like web devs. In this culture, we want web devs to focus on their development and not too much on the tooling. Content managers can focus on their content instead of like the whole process itself. And stakeholders will not worry about if there's like downtime every time that there's like code changes in their website. And importantly, even though that the traffic has a high spike, we want to make sure that the site won't go down. And why? Why do we automate? We want the bots to do the boring, or bots or AI to do the boring, repetitive tasks for us. And what are the things that we could automate? First of all, the most favorite that I like is the automating of PHP coding standards, and also compiling of CSS and JavaScript. You can automate the minify and combine. Also the cross-browser testing, so you won't manually do that, as well as PHP unit testing. Also the image optimization. If you're not using CDN or the Edge to do the optimization, you could also automate it on your build process. Also for the page speed scoring, instead of you manually doing the core web vitals, you could automate it there. And as well as the SEO score audits. Every time that you do a build, you could also put that in your CI. And one of the most common thing in the WordPress ecosystem is core plugin theme updates, because it's also one of the most common breaking point in your testing process. So what are the benefits if we do automation? The stakeholders love this. It saves us money. And for the developers, it frees up a lot of developer time instead of doing manual QA checks. So it also helps a big team to do frequent deployments in their live site. And we want to also do early bug detection, even and avoid to do or see it on the live site. And I guess if you, I guess you already have encountered this in your life that you try to fix bug one, and then there's a new bug two that will happen, and after you fix bug two, the first bug is reoccurring. So it's one of the annoying part when fixing bugs. So we want to minimize the reoccurrence of those bugs, and we could more focus on more features developed instead of like bug hunting or killing those bugs. So CI/CD, how can automation can help? We could put in continuous integration, work out features in parallel. If you have like big teams, you could this developer one, developer two, working on feature A, developer 3 and 4 working on feature B. And they could work in parallel with each other and not worrying about stepping each other toes when doing development. We could also insert automation and test in specific environments. And importantly, we won't impact the live site while doing development. And on the continuous delivery side, you could help, this part could help ship the code from your CI pipeline to the live site, and without downtime, of course. And we could do a lot of features in this way. And importantly, multiple developer collaboration. So previously, in the early days of CI/CD, people do their own DIY QA process or the CI/CD processes, and they use Jenkins, Cruise Control, Final Builder to do that, and they have to like build the server up, do their scripting from there, and it's a painful process previously. But now there are CI/CD SaaS companies that arise from there, like Circle CI and Travis. No server setup needed necessarily. They just put in your scripts in Circle CI or Travis, and they could be able to help you out from there. But now, a lot of version control hosts has integrated their CI/CD, like GitLab, Bitbucket, and GitHub Actions. So you won't need like separate services in doing your automation. You only have like one provider for that one. So for easier scripting. So yeah, let's check first. Sometime if you haven't heard of visual regression yet, so regression as defined by Lexico, it's like a former or return to a former less developed state. So you fix something, but it went back to the older self that has like issues as defined by Lexico. So internet. And when does visual regression happen? Especially when you do CMS core updates, plugin updates, theme updates, and modification, and adding new functionality. That's the usual causes of visual regression. And PHP version updates. Because sometimes when you do those changes, you're going to see like errors in your code, and the top it and pushes your site or your site to like shift a couple of pixels down. So that could be considered visual regression because it's the image shifted. So what are the VRT tools out there that you can use? So we have Wraith. that was developed by BBC News. So that's the link if you're interested to check that out. It has 5,000 stars in GitHub, 400 forks, and it uses open source Apache license. And it does like screenshot comparison, test the live site against the staging site. And there's also this Gemini testing. It has 1K stars in GitHub, 150 forks, and MIT license. And it's developed by Yandex. And this one, there's this Backstop.js. They have 6,000 stars in GitHub, 500 forks, and using MIT license. And they have this cool scrubber thingy that I'll show you later on. And you could also, the feature that I like with Backstop.js is you could be able to test in different viewport or screen sizes, like the width and height, and then you could label it as mobile, tablet, and desktop, and you could put in as many as you want. And for the visual, they have like a GUI, Web Visual Difference Inspector. You could be able to see what is the difference of your test and your live site after you push your changes. And if you're going to be putting it in your CI/CD, there's like CLI reports. If you could automate if it will pass or fail, given on a specific threshold, like 5% or 0%. It depends. You could be able to put that. And you could also do DOM exclusions. Let's say you have a slider and you don't want to test it, you could exclude that so it will not be included in the testing. So let's go to the setup of Backstop.js. It requires Node.js 6 plus and above, like JS 6 above. And installation is pretty easy. If you have already Node.js, gonna just do npm install, G for global, then Backstop.js. And you need to initialize your installation, backstop init, and go ahead and edit backstop.json. So backstop.json is like a basic file where you put in the configuration. And every backstop.js, you could be able to put in the ID of the test. And like what I have said earlier, you could be able to put in different viewports on that section where you could label it. Like, let's say you're going to use width 320 by 480, and you could label it as a phone, tablet, and so on and so forth. And for scenarios, this is the parameters that you're going to put if you're going to be, like, for example, you're going to do live site, which is your URL, or live site is the reference URL, and the staging site is the URL. So you could be able to put in multiple URLs in there. And these are the rest where your the path for the reports that is being generated in this one. So this is the path that you will configure in your CI, where to check those results in your test. So basically, to summarize, the basic backstop.js or backstop.json file required paths is the ID, viewport, label, width and height, scenarios, and the label for this one, let's say homepage, the URL of your homepage, and the URL of your staging site. So with this basic configuration, the basic required parameters in your backstop.js, you could be able to do a basic test. So for the viewports, you could be able to put at least one, as well as in the scenarios, but you could be able to put in like as many as you want, like 100. And for a demo, for initializing your live site, because what we want is we want to check first your live site before the changes are made. So we're going to do a backstop reference command, and it will take a screenshot of those pages that you have configured in your backstop JSON file. So if there's no error, no red flags on there, it means that the screenshot process is successful. And then if you're going to be testing the changes that you have in your staging site, you're going to execute the backstop test. So after that one, there will be a pop-up of the staging URL site that you configured in your backstop.js file, like what in this screenshot. And yeah, this is the GUI result. So as you can see, the report, there's like two parts of the report. So there's a GUI and there's also a JSON file. So in the test that I made, you can see that 2 tests passed in that GUI, and you'll be able to see, I put in my configuration that if it's lower than 20% difference from the live site, it will pass. So from here, you can also see 15% difference, and then the site shifted 72 pixels on the y-axis. So that's for the phone viewport, and this is for the viewport of the tablet. So in your CI, you could also check the reports JSON file, the section for your viewport. In the phone test, it passed. And in your tablet, it also passed. So via CLI, when you also execute the backstop test command, you could also capture the error response from here. I simulated that a test failed, so you could be able to catch the response code from there. So this second test that I made, I changed something, and it shifted the site. I'll do a demo later on, but if you see something like pink, stuff like that one, it means that that part of the site on your live site got broken. So yeah, I'll show a demo later on. So they have this, Backstop.js have this scrubber thingy that they call. So when you try to test your live site and your staging site, you can see that the scrubber tells you this is the original site, and after the changes, that's the pink part that changed in your site. So that's what they call the scrubber thingy. All right. So, okay. What is the limitations on this kind of testing? So, by default, if you have dynamic contents, since we're doing screenshots, and you could only capture one part of it at a time, dynamic contents like social feeds, which is sometimes random, or if somebody tweeted and then it shifted the layout, it will be flagged. So it's one of the limitations, as well as the image sliders. Sometimes when you do a screenshot and then the screenshot tool took a different timing on there, it might be also flagged as a failure. Also random ad sources, because sometimes it's unpredictable, so it changes sometimes. So, as well as moving items, you have a lot of animation happening in your site, it can also be flagged as a failure. And as well as videos, because yeah, same as sliders. And reaction after an action. Let's say you have some changes in your menu, And you need to hover for it to see the difference. You need to do some advanced scripting for you to be able to capture that one. But by default, the VRT process, the default VRT process will flag that as default because you need to do some advanced scripting to capture that reaction after an action. So in doing this in your automation, be it on GitHub Actions or Bitbucket or GitLab, this is not that an opinion on how to set it up. You could do it on many ways. There's like a lot of ways to do that to solve a problem. So usually what I do is live site, I clone it for our team. Let's say you have like multiple development team. You have developer 1, development 2, and we have like an environment for plugin core update. So while developer 1 is doing some features, developer 2 is doing their own feature, we could do a VRT or plugin core update on a separate environment. And then let's say we schedule Mondays or Tuesdays to like merge our codes. And we do the final integration, final testing before passing everything to live. So if all tests passes, that's the time that we push it to live instead of doing that in the live site. So at the moment, visual regression, there are, if you don't want to do the automation by yourself, you don't want to like code those stuff because there are already software as a service in the market that is using that technology, like Percy, Chromatic, Applitools, Viswis, Staging Pilot, and many more. Yeah, you could use their services to do the VRT on your end. As a disclaimer, Staging Pilot is acquired by Pantheon May 2019. So this was their GUI when before they were acquired. They have like a site. You could be able to choose which pages of your site you want to update, and then you could automate it, or you could manually check it first before merging those changes in your live site. So they're using the Backstop.js for that one. What are the common features on those VRT companies that offers that service? So live versus staging difference, like that screenshot, they shows what's the difference of live and staging. They also provide an API for you to be able to programmatically do it on your end. Yeah, multiple screen breakpoints. You could set for mobile, 320 by 720. Tablet, you could define what are the breakpoints that you want to test. And they can also have version control integration. Let's say you push into GitHub, it will be sent to your hosting. And error reports, of course. And in the WordPress space, there are also, in the WordPress ecosystem, there are also existing services that specializes in WordPress that utilizes visual regression testing. So yeah, surprisingly, there's a plugin for that. So there's this visual regression test plugin by Bleach. So you can install a plugin, and then you set your URLs on your site that you want to test, and it will be sent to their server for testing. And you're gonna get, you can do comparisons if it fails, or it will show you if it fails. So the free version is, I guess, will let you only test 3 pages at a time. I'm not sure about the paid pricing. for WPN, our friends in WP Engine also uses this WP Engine Smart Plugin Manager. They do automated backups. You could also set the frequency on when to check the updates, like daily, nightly. And the changes are applied to, you could choose not directly on live, you could choose if it's in test or like the environment that you want to do the test. And if you want to do it on live, they have a feature to automatically roll back the changes if it fails. So our friends in Fi will also have that same feature. It's an add-on. You set the frequency, when to check. Let's say you want to do the updates at night. You could also do that. They have like random page checks, like I think 20 pages. And they have an option to put the site in maintenance mode before doing the updates. And yeah, update light, same as WP Engine. The updates can be done on live or in the staging. And rollback if the VRT checks failed. And WPMU Dev, same technology, backup, checks the screenshot of your site before the update, and then before the update begins, there's some checks that you could do. And if the site became down or there's some error, it will let you know. And it also gets some screenshots after the update, and will also give you a report. And of course, Pantheon also have this kind of service. You could set the frequency, you could configure specific pages, and what happens is automatically clone live to a new environment first, so you won't mess with the live site. And you could also exclude certain parts of the site for the test. Let's say the slider or the videos. If you know the DOM or the class name, you could exclude them, so they won't be flagged. And you can automate the push to live if there's issues, or manual. You could manually check using the scrubber thingy tool before pushing to live. So the disclaimer: I work in Pantheon. So yeah, these are my reference for that presentation. And just to recap, I have an intro with automation, visual regression tools that is out there, how to use the basic setup of Backstop.js, and what are the limitations of this kind of tools, and WordPress services that utilizes visual regression testing. And yeah, any questions? Or feel free to connect or approach me if you have questions. So you could find me on those social media platforms. Oh, thank you.
So hello.